at the end of the day, our defense is playing their tail off, and I think people are starting to come to realize that even more. And so even when we're getting these field goals, they're keeping us in these games. And so obviously offensively, we had a better day today, a lot of yards. Now it's about finding ways to finish with touchdowns in the red zone, so we can make these lead bigger, faster, and then we can really let Spags beat Spags. And I think if we can do that, we'll continue to get better and better as the year goes on.
I mean, he's not wrong, okay? The Chiefs keep winning, but they've been pretty conservative on offense. Mahomes has averaged just 5 air yards per attempt this season, the shortest in the NFL, and he averaged just 3.7 air yards on Monday against the Saints. That's the shortest in any full game of his career. So, all right, we're going to welcome you into our fireside chat here on NFL Live, because why not? Hello, guys. I feel as though you're with me, even if you're actually not. Dan, the Chiefs were down multiple starters on offense, and yet somehow they still figure out a way to do this. How do they just keep winning?
Yeah, it was the most rhythm this offense has had all season. It's the most unpredictable this offense has had all season, and then not shocking, that's the best Patrick Mahomes has played all season. Number one, I love all the different tight end packages. They had plays where there was 2 tight ends in the field. They had plays where there were 3 tight ends on the field, and they got to different run game out of it. So I love that. Number two, they intentionally moved Patrick Mahomes 3 or 4 times that got him some easy completions. They protected parts of that offensive line. They got guys open because of that were a little bit easier. Then different RPOs. Sometimes this offense just lines up in just 2x2 zone RPOs. We saw some RPOs that had pullers attached to it. So I think the 3 different things that they did offensively, specifically to that scheme-wise. And then, listen, Juju Smith-Schuster's feel matters. It mattered last night. That was one of the things Rashee Rice developed and grew so much, was just that feel. And I thought Juju stepping into that role was very impressive last night. This was a really encouraging performance by everybody on their offense. Rhythm, and then a variety that led to unpredictability.
D.O., I fully agree. You saw him use a multitude of weapons. But I knew we was going to do this. I knew we were going to come on here and we were going to show. I knew we were going to show Patrick Mahomes, and we were going to show Travis Kelce and show Juju Smith and talk about air yards and all of that. Kareem Hunt been there 2 hours. And he had 27 carries in this game.
2 hours.
Because Andy Reid is a freaking genius, man. And the reason why he's a genius is because Andy Reid, every single week, does exactly what's needed to win that particular game. And we sit here and we scratch our head about, well, how in the hell did Kansas City win this game? And how did they win this game with this abysmal offense that they've been playing? And we know the defense deserves a lot of credit. But last night, he saw early in that game that we could dominate at the line of scrimmage. We could move people. We could create these 2 tight end sets and these formations to put the Saints in a bad number situation to the tune of 27 carries. Let me just give you a little bit of history on the game that was played last night. Alvin Kamara is arguably the most talented player on the New Orleans Saints football team. He had 11 carries out the backfield. Kareem Hunt been there 12 hours, and he had 27. Because they are playing at a different level, man. So I just wanted to make sure we brought that up as we get enamored with what Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce does. Andy Reid deserves a tremendous amount of credit for what he does week in and week out with this offense.
Still believe they need to add a wide receiver given the news of Rashee Rice unlikely to play this season. But I do think it hammers the point home, Marcus. Invest in your offensive line and find you a quarterback. And then everything else figures itself out. We watch teams in this league invest in the sex of the game, the pretty of the game, the fancy, the skill position, and they matter. I don't want to minimize that they don't. But the most important thing is you better have an offensive line that can control the game. And then if you find your quarterback, 100%. You give him the keys. And we watched that play itself out again last night.
You know, Swag, we're going to go to top stories, but I feel like Dan was trying to say that the big men aren't sexy or not as sexy as the others, okay.
Yeah. Well, we got something for you later to show you why we are the sexiest.
You just wait. Golly, Andy Reid could be in that category, too, with the way he's scheming them up. Okay, Kyler Murray, as much as they might want to be. Yesterday, Mina was pointing out that Kyler's all the way back when it comes to health and running ability. This dude is in his bag, okay? 50-yard run right here that you're seeing on the screen. They beat the 49ers, and Murray came on strong late in the game. Cardinals have had one of the most effective ground games in the NFL. Arizona has had explosive runs on an NFL best 18% of their carries this season to go along with 3.8 yards before contact per rush. That's second best in the NFL. But Kyler Murray leads the NFL in that category, averaging over 10 yards before contact per rush this season. 10 yards before anybody even gets to him, Dan. Why does that run game look so good in Arizona?
Yeah, I think it's very unique in the NFL that they run their zone reads with multiple tight ends on the field and where they're running it. I wanted to get Marcus's perspective on why it's so difficult, because I don't see a lot of teams doing it. So 13 personnel, those 3 tight ends. Now pay attention to the right side of your screen, because there's 2 different ways they run it. One, when they put hands on that defensive end. Now that's different because so often the zone read is an open edge, meaning there's no defender out there. And if he stays outside, you hand it off. And if he washes down Bosa, well, he keeps it. This time, Bosa washes down. Then we got tight ends blocking little guys out on the perimeter. Remember, these defensive ends aren't used to having a body that has to they have to feel from the outside in and seeing that zone read. 3 tight ends to the right again. Watch Bosa. This time they put hands on him again. He is so late that Kyler's able to hand that football off. This next one, 2 tight ends. This time, they're not going to block that defensive end. They're just going to double team down. The other tight end goes outside. And again, it's that read. Now that defensive end plays hesitant. We've got 2-on-1 on the front side. That's an easy handoff. But really from that same look of those double and or triple tight ends with their hands in the dirt. Right side of the screen again. Watch what they do here. Sometimes they put hands on that defensive end. That time they bluff them. So Bosa's got to feel that bluff, and then he's a little bit delayed reaction. That's an easy handoff. And then this one seals the game. Again, those 2 tight ends to the right. Watch what they do to Bosa. This time he washes down. They don't block him. And now I've got tight ends blocking secondary players out on the perimeter. I just think it's really unique that they set their zone read up, Marcus, where that defensive end, again, that defensive end so often doesn't have a defender outside of him or an offensive guy outside of him, right? And he's just able to squeeze down and then get out.
Absolutely.
This time they got to feel that. What's so different about that for those ends?
D.O., because one, you playing blocks and space, and that's what's so difficult. You talk about having a free edge. I know that I could slide down and slow play, where there is no slow play when a tight end is lined up over the top of you, and you can get a multitude of plays. That last play where you saw Nick Bosa crash down the line of scrimmage, that was frustration. Nothing about our technique tells us when you don't get hands on you, you have to be aware of something going on and something fishy. The difference is they will run dive off of that and give you some presence by the tight end. And then when you don't, obviously it becomes a zone read. So it's almost like we're using and this was always the hardest runs to play. When they use your technique, which you can be absolutely right to make you absolutely wrong. And that's what Arizona is doing with these 3 tight end sets. And then it becomes confusing. And as the game go out, in your mind, you say to yourself, I'm going to go make something declare. And you forget that the quarterback runs a 4-3 once he gets on the edge.